All right, welcome back. We got our weekly stock market update, and this week we got our first rate cut in a very long time. So the Federal Reserve, they did cut interest rates on Wednesday by 25 basis points. So the Fed funds rate is now at 4.25. We'll take a look at some of the bonds here in just a moment. But that did spark a little bit of a technology rally and a financial rally. And basically, anything that was interest rate sensitive had a pretty good week this week. Some names like the small caps did well also this week. But the big winners this week, we got Apple up 7%, Google up 6%, Meta 4%. Meta did have a product announcement, some new glasses. And you also had a bounce back here for Palantir and some of the cybersecurity names. Palo Alto up 5.5%, CrowdStrike up 15%. And you had the financials here: JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all up over 3%. A lot of red everywhere else. You can see it's pretty red with some bright green. So some money rotating out of these other names into the big dogs again. Tesla had another good week, up 15%. Uber hit all-time high this week, up 4.5%. And you had some of the manufacturing names up as well. We'll take a look at a couple of those in a moment. As far as the overall market, the S&P was up 1%. You've got the Nasdaq up 2%, and the bond market was pretty much flat. And gold up 1%, and the Bitcoin market flat. Crypto market flat. What's interesting with the crypto market this week, you did see the crypto stocks have a good week. So, for example, Coinbase had a strong week here. I think it had a 10% day. It was down early in the week, but had a nice strong bounce back on the Fed meeting. And some of these treasury names like BMNR had a very strong week here. I think MicroStrategy had a little bit of a bounce back this week. So interesting to see the crypto stocks move, but crypto be kind of flat. So that to me is a little interesting. All right, let's take a look at the volatility. We did have a little spike early in the week that gave it all back. We're still just in a very low volatility environment here. You did have the Russell 2000 breach those all-time highs for a second, at least on the futures here for the Russell 2000. A little bit of a pullback today. Gold had a nice week here as well, a nice bounce back. Just still very strong, consolidating near all-time highs. And let's take a look at the dollar. It did have a little bit of a bounce back after the Fed meeting, but we are just in a huge downtrend. So we'll see if this makes any meaningful reversal to the upside. And now, as far as bonds, the 10-year yield had 3 days in a row where rates went up. So ironically, after they cut interest rates, the rates go up. This happened last time they cut rates. And the 30-year yield, same thing, bouncing back up. So we'll see what happens here with interest rates. They look to me like they're going to bounce back up higher, but we'll see what happens longer term. I think the only thing that'll meaningfully get interest rates down, yeah, the Federal Reserve can keep drastically cutting, but I think they're going to keep doing small little cuts because they're worried about just markets getting too overheated. But the only thing, in my opinion, that is really going to drop interest rates would be a recession or just a very soft economy. But we're just ripping. So again, people they will only buy bonds if they're afraid of weakness in the stock market. There is no fear in the stock market right now, as we can see with the volatility. So if we get a volatility spike, that's going to be the main driver to drop interest rates, in my opinion. And as of right now, no volatility, no fear. So people are not buying bonds, they're buying stocks. So until that starts to change and people say, I want to have a little bit less risk and get out of the stock market or take some portion of my funds out of the stock market and buy bonds, people are not going to be enticed to go get these yields unless there's some fear forcing them to do so. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Uber, we talked about it. Tesla consolidating here up at these 420 levels. So good to see here this week, just 5 days in a row hanging out here above $400. So that is some strong consolidation here. We'll see when we make our next move. Same thing with Google, just holding on to all of these gains here. Very strong stock right now. Amazon, a little choppy here, but I do think we hit all-time highs by the end of the year. NASDAQ, all-time high, talked about it. S&P, all-time high. Good to see here. Keep chugging along. Nvidia. So this week, Nvidia did announce that they bought $5 billion worth of Intel stock. So pretty interesting move here. To me, this came out of nowhere. I'm sure this has to do with their conversations they've had with the administration, because you have SoftBank that has purchased some Intel, the US government that has purchased some Intel, and now Nvidia that has purchased some Intel. And along with the $5 billion purchased of Intel, Nvidia is now going to be partnering with Intel, and Intel will be making some of Nvidia's chips. So pretty interesting developments there. Again, that to me that came out of nowhere. But they did buy $5 billion at $23.28. That's the price they paid for their Intel stock. So pretty interesting stuff there. Again, Apple, nice bounce back this week. We had the sell-off for the iPhone announcement, and that quickly just got bought right up. Let's take a look. What else? Palantir and Robinhood getting back near their all-time highs. Robinhood is at all-time high. AMD did sell off after the Nvidia Intel partnership, but this to me still a very strong company. Be interesting to see where it goes from here, but I don't think that's going to affect AMD too much. Chipotle's been a dog. I haven't looked at this chart in a while, but pretty nice pullback here for Chipotle. I'm going to do some research over the weekend. I definitely am getting more interested in this. I used to own this a while ago. I got out of it because it just got too expensive. Their revenue started to slow. Their growth started to slow. But these prices might be a little more enticing to me. I'll have to take a look over the weekend. And let's see here. What else? Let's find Intel. Up 30%. Giving back some of those gains, but we popped above 30. A lot of volume coming in here. A lot of bag holders of Intel looking to unload on this pop. So we'll see when the sellers get exhausted how much of this gap here we fill. But makes a lot of sense here. A lot of people been holding Intel for a couple of years here and just got nothing. And now they can get out for a small profit. So interesting stuff going on there. Some of these small caps like SoFi crushing it. What an awesome business. So some of these smaller financial names doing very, very well, and this is just a perfect chart to show that. Meta on the announcement of their glasses just consolidating near all-time highs. Microsoft hasn't done anything since their earnings, and some of those manufacturing names like ASML makes the machines that makes the chips. It's a very cyclical business, but they are liking the interest rate cut. As you can see here, it'll be cheaper for companies to finance their machines, so maybe some front running there for good earnings coming up with ASML. But this is a great company. It's been beaten down a little bit. It tends to go through these drawdowns, and then it has a nice move up, big drawdown, nice move up. So we'll see what happens here with ASML. That's going to be about it for this week. Next week, we don't have a whole lot of news. We'll probably still be digesting the Federal Reserve meeting and seeing where we go from here. So congratulations, everyone. All-time highs again this week. Seems like every week we set a new all-time high. So congratulations. And we are looking to hopefully continue to end the year strong. So that's all I got. All right. Peace out.